Gillette Public Access Television presents North by Northeast, a news magazine about Northeast Wyoming. On August 13, 14, and 15, the International Surface Mine Rescue Competition took place in Gillette. The competition challenges teams physically and mentally. This year, teams from Thunder Basin Coal hosted the event.
We've designed all the scenarios. Our teams are the patients, the judges, just setting it up and running it.
Helping to oversee the event are members of the Powder River Basin Safety Association.
So the Safety Association itself, every month we have a meeting where we come together for the companies here in the Powder River Basin, including contractors and the mines as well. We discuss different safety topics that have come up. All the mines or the people involved get a chance to talk about, if they've had certain issues, potential injuries, if they got different safety programs that go out. Kind of just gives us a chance for all of us to come together and be able to coordinate with each other within the Powder River Basin.
Excellent. And so what is your involvement with the mine rescue competition?
I am the chairman of the competition, so this gives me a chance to kind of look over the logistics, ensuring that everything's going good on the scenarios. Kind of gives me a chance as if there's any issues that arise at any of the stations where maybe the competitors have a problem with what the judges say. We kind of get a help given that last call to help resolve the issues.
It's the first day is a training day, second day is skill station day that tests the skills of every member of each team on all the different things of mine rescue, which is fire, confined space, medical, high-angle rescue techniques, all the different stuff, and that's what we're at today, is doing that part. Tomorrow will be the final scenario where it's a mine incident that's something that you would see at a mine and an accident that's realistic to happen, and they'll all go through that same scenario tomorrow.
This was the 34th year of the International Surface Mine Rescue Competition, and over the decades, the purpose hasn't changed.
This sprouted back in the day when we didn't even have, it was actually in the era of when EMS was starting. So at that time, we started getting medical and rescue personnel at the scenes rather than calling them from outside resources. And through that process, we've trained a lot of people through the years, and now the mines pretty much all have emergency personnel on scene, and we just keep trying to push the level of the skills to a higher level. So.
The final day of the competition took place at Jack's Truck and Equipment. Teams had to deal with multiple victims and a fatality.
Check on the painter.
Crews had to coordinate with local emergency responders during the scenario as well. This year, the winning team was the team from Peabody Energy's North Antelope Rochelle Mine, followed by Cloud Peak's Antelope Mine. Coming in third was Solvay Chemicals out of Rock Springs.
What we're really trying to do is transition from the turboprop age to the jet age. And really for our community, that really means more seats.
And we're back with Valerie Spanos, another of the co-founders of Mountain Meadow Wool, and she's going to talk us through the process of how you make wool. So why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Okay, well, the wool comes to us primarily in big square bales. They weigh around 400 to 500 pounds a piece. So the first step that is to open the bale, and we have a fellow that goes through each of the fleeces that are in the bale. And what he's looking for is brand paint and maybe some of the stuff that won't scour out well. Mm-hmm. Then it goes into an opener, and the opener is a big drum with fingers on it that basically shakes out sand, dirt, manure tags, and short fibers left over from the shearing. And then it goes into a feeder which feeds it into the wash system. The wash system has 5 bowls. There's a suet bowl, which is about 90 degrees. It takes off mud and dirt. The next 2 bowls have soap, and they take off the wool grease. And then there's 2 rinses. The water is sent through some pipes to different settling tanks, and we are working on an experiment to try to recycle the water and also to harvest out some of the wool grease. Wool grease can be used as wool grease in industrial applications, but it also can be refined and made into lanolin, which is used in a lot of pharmaceuticals and cosmetics.
What types of soaps are you using?
We have one vendor that we use. It's called Unicorn Power Scour, and it actually is a biodegradable soap, and it's a degreaser, and it emulsifies the grease in the water so that the water carries the grease away from the fiber.
Okay.
Then it goes into our dryer. The dryer is just a big square box with fans inside, and it's on a conveyor belt, and it goes through in about 20 minutes. When it comes out the other side, it once again goes through a shaking system that is where we get out more of the vegetable matter and the sand, because after the grease is out, the wool will let that go a little bit more. Then it is blown into a room, which is our conditioning room. In that room, we add back on another conditioning oil. That helps it further along in the process. It keeps static electricity down, and it also just helps us to get any tangles that are in it out, because from that step on, we try to line up the fibers a little bit more. Then it goes into the carder, and a carder is like a big hairbrush, and its job is to break up the clumps and put them into a long rope, or roving is what it's called. The roving doesn't have any strength. It's really nice and soft and big. And in a woolen system, at that point, it goes into a spinner. In our system, we refine it a little bit more. It goes through a drafting system where the fat ends are then made 3 times longer and that much thinner. And that is where we control the thickness of the yarn. We can make a real thin yarn, or we can make a real fat yarn. If we're going to make a worsted yarn, which is what apparel manufacturers require, then it goes through another machine, which is our comb. This comb we've had about 2 years. We had to buy it from Spain. And it takes out anything under an inch long.
Okay.
So the loss on that machine is pretty high, so we don't use it on all of our yarn. So then it goes again through another pin drafting to even it out, and then it goes on to the spinner. And the spinner is set up to spin different weights of yarn as well, so you can control the weight of the yarn at the spinner as well. When it comes out is a single strand that is twisted, so if you held it up it would kink together. So then it has to be plied, so then it goes to another piece of equipment which plies it back on itself so that it stays balanced. And then from there, the finishing is we put it onto cones, or we put it onto skeins for yarn shops, like these are skeins. A cone goes usually to other manufacturers or weavers. They like things on cone.
Okay.
And then the skeins are hand dyed here. And there are other ways of dyeing yarn in other mills. Some of them immerse the yarn into big vats of dye. And the way that we do it is called space dyeing, and we pour the dye onto the fiber. And that we do that because it cuts down on the water usage.
Okay.
And it makes sure that more of the dye stays on the fiber instead of in the water. And then they're hung up, labeled, and sent on their way.
All right. What are some of the products that you have? Obviously, you have yarn available here. But what else do you manufacture here that you sell retail?
Another thing that we manufacture is that we create a lot of yarn waste. The comb in particular takes out everything under an inch. And so we have come up with dryer balls. Dryer balls are felted balls that people can put in their dryer, 3 in a set, and it cuts your drying time in half on small loads and by a third on large loads.
Oh, excellent.
So that's one product that we do. We also do different kinds of felt. We ply different kinds of yarn together, like a sparkle with a regular wool to make some novelty yarns. And then another thing that we do is that we have contacts with other small manufacturers throughout the country. So we will send our yarn to them to be made into mittens, hats, and gloves, sweaters, and then they send it back to us, and we sell those here in our store
nice.
and online.
How long does the process take from when a 400 to 500 pound square bale comes to you until it ends up behind us on the shelf?
Well, we have a formula, but it basically takes about 2 weeks to go through the process from start to finish.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for letting us in on how Mountain Meadow Wool is made.
Here's a look at this week's community calendar. The Campbell County Chamber of Commerce and the Campbell County Economic Development Corporation present an affordable energy rally. Come support Wyoming's energy industries on September 25th from 4 to 6 at Camplex Plaza in Gillette. For more information, visit www.gillettechamber.com. Worlds of Music will be happening in Buffalo starting on September 25th and running through the 27th. All events are free and open to the public. For a list of events and times, visit www.buffalowyo.com or call 217-0028. In Sundance, there will be Pause for the Cause, a pet parade fundraiser on September 27th from noon to 2 p.m. All donations go to help board and care for the animals of victims of violence. Proceeds from Pause for the Cause will enable Crook County Family Violence and Sexual Assault Center to board animals at Bear Paw Kennel and shelter when necessary. For more information, go to www.sundancewyoming.com.
Later on North by Northeast.
We have been informed by the cable access provider Charter Communications that our local access channels, Education Access Channel 18, Government Access Channel 22, and Public Access Channel 31 will be moving to a new place in their channel lineup.
This week's featured pets come to us from the City County Animal Shelter in Gillette. We have Olaf, a 1-year-old male neuter cat. He's very quiet but loves attention. We also have Zip, a 2-year-old male lab mix. He is good with children and other dogs. To adopt either of these pets or for more information, you can contact the shelter at 307-686-5249 or you can visit petfinder.com. And as always, please adopt a pet.
Hello, I'm here with Airport Manager Jay Lundell of the Campbell County Gillette Airport, and we're here today to talk about air service and some of the things that are going on here at this airport, along with kind of what's going on through the state. But one thing I want to touch on first, Jay, is one thing that you and the county commissioners and things kind of put together earlier this year was an air enhancement committee. I think that committee was kind of formed to obviously see what could be done to enhance the air service through Gillette here. Talk a little bit about that committee and what that is.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. The committee was formed at the beginning of this year, and it comprised of 2 county commissioners, airport staff, county staff, a city council member, and of course certainly the business and industry leaders were asked to serve on that committee as well. The main focus of our committee is what you said, really to focus on air service issues locally. And the other thing is that we really wanted to put together an educational outreach to our community constituents and so forth, so they understood or understand air service a little better than what typically they have in the past.
Okay, and one thing that I think has been talked about a lot here is jet service, and I think the committee has looked into that or kind of helped with that. If you could touch on where we're at with that.
Yes, the committee has focused a majority of their efforts on jet service. What we're really trying to do is transition from the turboprop age to the jet age. And really for our community, that really means more seats. And of course, there's people out there that just do not want to fly the smaller turboprop type aircraft. And of course, the jets are faster, quieter, etc. But I think the one thing that we have learned through this process, it's just not like tomorrow they can bring in the jets. Number one, we've got some pilot issues. That's not only just in SkyWest's business structure, but nationally there's becoming an issue with pilot shortage that's coming. And that was really brought about because of a new federal aviation regulation. And so the airlines have to deal with more of a flight and duty time, and then the experience of the pilots themselves have to be much more hours per pilot hours and so forth. But right now we're really somewhat confident that we'll have jet service hopefully by the end of March, first part of April, kind of in that time frame. So. Again, like I said, it's just a matter of SkyWest being able to get not only the aircraft available, but also crew members to fly those aircraft. We've been told by SkyWest that a lot of their contract flying that they're doing presently, there's some contracts that are coming up will not be renewed, so that's one source in which they would perhaps be able to free some jets up. They're just as anxious to get the jets in our community as we are. But unfortunately, it's just going to be, again, patiently waiting to see that transition occur.
Okay, and maybe we can touch a little bit too on, you obviously mentioned SkyWest. There's 2 airlines that fly through Gillette's airport. Are they both, and remind me who the other one is?
It can be somewhat confusing.
Yeah.
That's a good point. We have SkyWest flying both as a United carrier to Denver, and then we have SkyWest flying as a Delta connection to Salt Lake City. Essentially, they're the same airline, only they're serving different markets and different airlines.
Okay, very good. So you're hoping by next March then?
I'm not going to give a definite date. I appreciate that, but again, like we say, we've been told last part of the first quarter, first part of the second quarter of the new year.
And talk a little bit, I guess, let's shift gears a little bit. And one thing is hopefully with getting their jet service, numbers should probably increase. More people will be more comfortable. Also, those planes hold more people, a little more reliable. Talk a little bit about the numbers, how the Campbell County Airport's doing as far as passengers go.
Well, we've seen a decrease in passengers year over year, but I think a lot of that has to deal with a lot of the seats have been sold, and we did lose a flight here a little over a year ago, and to Denver, so we lost our 3rd flight. So that did certainly hurt us on our frequency of flight and certainly our capacity out of Gillette. We have, however, seen a real positive growth in the Salt Lake City hub, and so we've seen almost they almost mirror each other from Gillette to Denver, Gillette to Salt Lake City. So we're running about the same amount of passengers out of each market, and that's encouraging to see that. To answer your question, do we see perhaps an increase in passengers? I believe so. I think we've been told that just when a community does go from a turboprop service to jet service, they will see a kick up of 3 to 6% of passenger ridership. And again, that's perhaps goes back to the thought that the turboprops are noisier, slower, they're not safe, and that's totally wrong. They're a very safe aircraft, and it's just becoming more and more prevalent in the industry that the turboprop aircraft they're reaching an age where they can no longer be serviced with parts, or just basically the cost of maintaining them has just grown exponentially over the past 3 years.
Okay. And and it's not just here in Gillette where we're facing some issues. I know across the state, other communities are facing issues. I know Sheridan's been in the news recently as far as possibly losing some flights and things. Is there anything the state's doing to try and enhance air service throughout?
Most definitely. As you allude to Sheridan as a community that could possibly lose air service, I think that's a very good reality that's going to probably happen, unfortunately. But in a positive way, the State Aeronautics Division is looking at those communities. How can we help them either get air service back or get it to where it's serving all of us in the state of Wyoming. Not only Gillette, but let's say the Rivertons, Rock Springs, the Sheridans most certainly were the ones. We're higher populated, not that we're high in population, but relative to the other state cities, I think that's, you know, populace that we need to ensure that continues to have air service. Maybe more so than the state Aeronautics Division, the Wyoming Airport Operators Association, which I'm a member of. We have met as the 10 airport managers that have air service in our communities, and we've looked at discussing how we as managers can go forward with a message to the legislators, and with the help of the Aeronautics Division. Certainly the division, you know, they're pretty much tied to, you know, they can't lobby for more money and that sort of thing, and certainly we understand that. But how the Aeronautics Division will be able to provide us with numbers that they anticipate will need funding for the Air Service Enhancement Program to continue at a level that it needs to be. So what the Wyoming Airport Operators Association, along with the 10 Air Service Airport Managers, putting together a white paper that will hopefully explain the importance, certainly, of economic development to our communities that air service provides us, but to go forward and say, hey, these are the levels we're looking at in the future that we need the Air Service Enhancement Program to be funded at. And certainly the other side of that is we need to continue an education program, not only to our local constituents and those that utilize the airport, but also to our legislators. And so we want to be in a lockstep position. In other words, we're all saying the same message to, you know, the folks in our community and to our state legislators.
And one thing, Jay, that I think has been talked about in the past and maybe currently is an intrastate program. Do you see anything like that working here in Wyoming or anything like that?
Actually, that's been discussed for several years, probably, you know, a couple decades. But I think that's something that certainly will continue to be part of the discussion. And the thoughts there are, you know, does the state go out and just contract an airline? Do they buy aircraft? I've heard all kinds of, actually some of them are somewhat wild ideas, but I think, you know, it's where you can start thinking outside the box a little bit to look at some of those scenarios and see what works best for the state. You know, geographically we're large and sparsely populated, but we still understand the importance of air service in our communities and our state as a whole.
And Jay, one thing that obviously we have here at the Gillette Airport is charter service as well. I guess talk a little bit about that. How many charters do we have coming through versus commercial or the other two airlines and things?
We really don't keep account of the passengers that come either by corporate aircraft or by private aircraft. We do not keep track of those types of passengers. The charter service, yes, there is quite a, you know, today as you go out on the ramp you can see quite a few jet aircraft out there. Again, these are corporations typically that are flying in and out of Gillette on a daily basis. And we also get, you know, several docks that fly in and out of our community on a daily basis as well.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Jay?
No, I thank you for the opportunity. We really hope that in the near future our Air Service Committee will actually get out to the community in more of open forums and question and answers and really provide some answers to a lot of questions. I think right now we've been focused mainly on the transition from the turboprop aircraft to jet aircraft. We've also geared up a campaign for when that does happen as far as advertising and marketing the jet service. So we've been busy doing those types of things as well. So all we're doing is really keeping our fingers crossed that it happens sooner than later.
Sounds great. Well, thanks for joining me, Jay.
Thank you.
I'm Gino Palazzari, manager of Gillette Public Access Television and one of the hosts of North by Northeast. We have been informed by the cable access provider Charter Communications that our local access channels, Education Access Channel 18, Government Access Channel 22, and Public Access Channel 31 will be moving to a new place in their channel lineup. On September 23rd, GPA's channels will be moved to what Charter is calling the Public Affairs neighborhood. Your Education Access Channel, where you can see rebroadcasts of Campbell Sports, will move to Channel 189. The Public Access Channel, where you can see episodes of North by Northeast, as well as Campbell County Chamber of Commerce special events and auto racing from Thunder Speedway, will move to Channel 190. And your Government Access Channel, with live telecasts of Gillette City Council meetings, Campbell County Commissioner meetings, and with elections just around the corner, candidate forums and live election night coverage, will be on Channel 192. Of course, you don't need Charter Cable to see GPA programming. All 3 channels stream live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at gillettewy.gov/GPA. This service is available on your desktop computer, notebook, tablet, or any other mobile device. If you missed the program that you wanted to see, you can visit the archive for on-demand viewing of just about any program that GPA records, like Camel football, city council meetings, and of course, North by Northeast. If you have any questions about where to find us on the cable system or on the World Wide Web, give us a call at 686-5745 or email us at gpatv@gillettewy.gov. We are committed to bringing you the best local programming regardless of where we are located on the dial.